Well, China says it has landed bombers on islands and reefs in the disputed South China Sea as part of a training exercise.
A division of the People's Liberation Army Air Force recently organized multiple bombers such as the HCK to conduct takeoff and landing training on islands and reefs in the South China Sea in order to improve our ability to reach all territory, conduct strikes at any time, and strike in all directions.
Beijing has made the announcement in a notice published on its Air Force microblogging website. The notice describes the exercise as preparation for the, quote, battle for the South China Sea. It does not, however, mention the exact location of the drill. Meanwhile, the United States has dispatched warships to disputed areas of the South China Sea to challenge China's extensive sovereignty claims and the territory. Washington says it's committed to what it calls a free and open Indo-Pacific. Similarly, Philippine opposition lawmakers condemned what they call China's militarization of the region.
The United States remains committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific. We have seen these same reports, and China's continued militarization of disputed features in the South China Sea only serves to raise tensions and destabilize the region.
The lawmakers blame their own government's inaction for the activities. Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte has defended his position not to confront China over the China Sea. He has instead reiterated openness to undertake joint exploration and development in the waters. The South China Sea and its islands are subject to claims by several countries and are believed to be rich in oil and natural gas. Let's cross over to Leesburg, joined by Mr. Mike Billington from the Asia Desk Executive Intelligence Review. Thanks so much for being with us. Tell us about all of this and the significance of what is taking place in the South China Sea. And now that the Chinese have actually landed bombers on the islands and reefs in the South China Sea.
Well, the South China Sea is not really an issue of any sort. It's an artificial issue that's been manufactured by the by the British and the neoconservative movement, who are increasingly hysterical about the fact that the new Silk Road, the Belt and Road program under Xi Jinping, has brought together over 100 countries around the world who are only interested in joint development, in joint investment, in the development of infrastructure and the building of modern industrial nations. That's exactly why Duterte told Obama to go to hell and said, I'm not going to be part of any kind of a war with China. China is willing to work on joint development, and the idea of having a war on China's coast, and whether or not under some legal code the South China Sea is the territory of China or not, it is the path through which every invasion of China has taken place. And of course, the idea that they have the capacity to put their military forces in the South China Sea in the case of an attack is an obvious and urgent strategic necessity for China. Keep in mind, as Mr. LaRouche has warned over and over and over again, the British will not go down quietly when they see China and Russia and potentially the United States and India and now even Japan working together for development. Japan and China have just made extraordinary historic agreements to do joint development projects along the Belt and Road. No one in that region is seriously, nobody of importance at this point, is seriously with this idea of the Western neocon crowd that somehow we have to stand up against, quote, aggression, or that China is militarizing the South China Sea. I mean, the U.S. is deploying aircraft carriers, battleships on a regular basis through the South China Sea for no reason. Obviously, China is the country which most depends upon freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. Of the trillions of dollars of trade that you always hear from the West, almost all of that is with China. And they are therefore protecting the world from the threat of a war from the neoconservative crowd. And what has them so angry is precisely that Donald Trump has been openly committed to working with Xi Jinping, whom he considers a close friend and ally. They have some differences on trade, they have some differences on various issues, but Trump recognizes that the United States must end this regime change lunacy and must end the confrontation with Russia and China, work together for a new world of the sort that Lyndon and Helga LaRouche launched with their idea of the New Silk Road back in the 1990s. This is now not only an idea, it's being realized throughout Asia, Africa, South America, and even portions of Europe. In fact, Wang Yi was just in France and Portugal and Spain and struck deals to work together on the New Silk Road, despite the EU game of trying to say that China is trying to split Europe. This anti-China hysteria has nothing to do with reality, everything to do with the British Empire terrified that they're going to lose their division of the world.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us, Mr. Mike Billington from the Asia Desk, Executive Intelligence Review out of Leesburg.